My mother called me on a Monday morning while I was packing Harper's lunch and trying to get Leo to put on his shoes, and she sounded exactly like she was telling me about a new brand of oat milk she found at Whole Foods. Honey, I need you to listen carefully. Caleb and Madeline closed that $14 billion merger last month, and the way they were finishing each other's sentences during the family dinner was honestly magical. Two Ivy League minds moving at the speed of light. You should divorce Caleb so he can marry your sister. Their children would be unstoppable. You are a nurse. You chose a beautiful career, but you have to admit, you and Caleb don't speak the same language anymore. Madeline lives in his world. She takes the red-eye to Singapore and still makes the 7 a.m. stand-up. You're asleep by 9:30 because you have to be at the NICU at 5:45. This isn't about love anymore. It's about compatibility and legacy. I stood there holding a juice box in one hand and Leo's light up Spider-Man sneaker in the other, and I honestly thought I was being pranked. Mom, are you seriously telling me to end my marriage so my little sister can have my husband? I'm suggesting you think about what's best for everyone. Caleb could be running the entire investment banking division in 5 years if he didn't have to worry about pediatrician appointments and school plays. Madeline understands the lifestyle. She is the lifestyle. Their babies would go to Harvard at 16. I have a master's in neonatal nursing, and I've restarted more preemie hearts than I can count, but apparently that doesn't count as ambition in my mother's world. I told her I had to get the kids to school and I hung up. She called back immediately. I let it go to voicemail. Then my phone lit up with a text from Madeline. Mom says you hung up on her. Can we talk? I didn't answer. An hour later, Madeline called from her work line. I picked up because I was still stupid enough to think maybe she would be horrified. She wasn't. Hey, I know this is a lot, but Mom isn't completely wrong, Caleb. And I have been working together on this deal for 8 months. And the connection is real. We get each other in a way you two haven't in years. I'm not saying I want to break up your family, but if you're honest with yourself, you've felt the distance too. He's been unhappy. We both have. I married Caleb when he was a first-year analyst making $80,000 a year and living in a studio in Jersey City. I was the one who held his hand through the 100-hour weeks and the CFA exams and the promotion parties. I thought we were building something together. Apparently, I was just keeping the seat warm until my sister graduated from Harvard Business School. I asked her if she was sleeping with my husband. She gave this a little laugh, like I'd asked if she still had her childhood teddy bear. No, of course not. This is emotional, intellectual. We speak the same language. You speak the language of breast pumps and growth charts. That's not a bad thing. It's just different. I hung up on her too. I dropped the kids at school and drove to work on autopilot. I spent 12 hours holding 20-4-week-olds who weighed less than a bag of sugar, and every time I looked at the clock, I felt like I was watching my marriage die in real time. That night, Caleb came home at 11:30, still in his suit, carrying the same garment bag he uses for Asia trips. He kissed the top of my head like everything was normal and asked if the kids ate vegetables. I asked him if he was having an affair with my sister. He froze with his tie halfway off. What? No. Where is this coming from? My mother called me this morning and told me I should divorce you so you can marry Madeline because you'd make better babies together. He laughed. Actually laughed. Your mom is insane. That's ridiculous. Then why did Madeline call me an hour later and say Mom has a point? His face changed. Not guilty exactly. More like someone who just realized that Uber's surge pricing hit 4x. It's not like that. We work together. We're friends. We're on the same deals. That's it. Then why does my mother think you two are soulmates? Because your mother sees dollar signs and Forbes lists and thinks that equals love. She's projecting. I promise you there's nothing going on. I wanted to believe him. I really did. But something felt off the way he wouldn't look at me while he said it. The next morning I did something I have never done in 8 years of marriage. I opened his laptop while he was in the shower. His password was still Harper's birthday plus our wedding year. I felt sick doing it, but I opened his email and there were 412 unread. Messages from Madeline in the last 6 months. Not work threads, personal, inside jokes about clients, photos of them at site visits in London and Dubai. One email from 3 weeks ago where she wrote, "I wish we could just stay in this hotel room and never go back to real life." And he replied, "Sometimes I wish that too." I printed everything. The printer took 27 minutes and I stood there watching page after page of my marriage, ending in black and white. Then I opened the Amex bill. 11 work trips in the last 14 months. Every single one Madeline was on too. Same cities, same hotels, separate rooms billed, but I cross-checked the dates against their calendars, and only one room key was ever used. I made neat little stacks on the kitchen island like I was setting out evidence for a code blue. Caleb came downstairs at 6:45 in gym clothes carrying his coffee mug. He saw the papers and went completely still. "What is this?" I think the better question is, what is this? I held up the email about the hotel room in Singapore. "Care to explain?" He put the mug down very carefully. "It's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is, Caleb. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been having an affair with my sister for over a year. It's not physical. We never..." Don't you dare finish that sentence with, "Nothing physical happened," because emotional affairs are still affairs. You planned a whole second life with her while you were kissing me goodnight. He started pacing. "Look, we got close because of work. The hours are insane. You know that. You're asleep when I leave and asleep when I come home." Madeline gets it. She lives it. Sometimes we talk until 3 in the morning about deals and then it just became more. You fell in love with my sister and you didn't think to mention it. I didn't plan this. It just happened. I still love you. You're the mother of my children. Then why are you texting her that you wish you could stay in hotel rooms forever? He had no answer. We fought for 3 hours in whispers because the kids were asleep upstairs. At one point, Harper came down for water and we both pasted on smiles and told her everything was fine. When she went back upstairs, Caleb looked at me and said, "I think we need space to figure this out. I think you need to pack a bag and leave tonight." He stared at me like he couldn't believe I said it. "You're kicking me out. You don't get to stay in this house while you decide if you love my sister more. Get out." He left with a duffel bag at 2 in the morning. I sat on the kitchen floor surrounded by printed emails and cried until the sun came up. The next day, my best friend, Sarah, who's also a NICU nurse, came over with coffee and her husband, Mark, who's a family law attorney. Mark looked at my evidence binder and said, "You are going to get primary custody and probably a very favorable settlement. 'Cause his schedule is insane. And you have proof of infidelity, even if it's emotional." I didn't want any of it to be real. That night, my mother showed up at the house with Madeline. They rang the doorbell 17 times. I watched them on the Ring camera. Mom was holding a bottle of wine like this was a girls' night. Madeline had her arms crossed, looking impatient. I didn't open the door. Mom started yelling through the mail slot, "You're being dramatic. We're family. We need to talk about how to make this transition smooth for the children." I called the police. 2 officers showed up and escorted them off my property. Mom tried to explain that she was just concerned about her grandchildren. The cop wasn't having it. I filed for a temporary restraining order the next morning. The judge granted it in 9 days. My mother is not allowed within 500 feet of me, my house, or my workplace. Madeline, too. Caleb moved into a corporate apartment in the city. He sees the kids every other weekend when he's not on a plane to Tokyo or London. The divorce is going to be final next month. I kept the house because the kids need stability and Caleb makes 20 times what I do, so he's paying the mortgage, plus child support, plus alimony. My sister got promoted to managing director last week. Mom threw her a party and invited half the extended family. Nobody came from my side. Caleb and Madeline are officially together now. They posted a photo from the Hamptons last weekend. She's wearing the diamond earrings he bought me for our 10th anniversary that I left in the safe. I didn't even cry when I saw it. I just felt tired. Some nights I sit in Leo's room after he falls asleep, and I look at the glow in the dark. Stars we stuck on his ceiling when he was born, and I think about how I used to dream about growing old with their father. Now I dream about never having to speak to my mother or sister again. The kids ask when Daddy is coming home to live. I tell them he loves them very much, but sometimes grown-up love gets broken, and that's nobody's fault. Harper asked if Aunt Maddie broke it. I didn't know what to say, so I just hugged her. I'm back at work full-time. I held a 23-weeker. Yesterday he wasn't supposed to make it, and he cried when I kangarooed him against my chest. His heart rate went from 190 to 140 in 30 seconds. That's the only kind of love I understand anymore. The kind that shows up at 5 a.m. and stays until the shift change. The kind that doesn't care about Forbes lists or 9-figure deals. I blocked my mother and sister on everything. I changed my number. I deleted my Facebook. Some cousins reached out saying, "I'm tearing the family apart and blood is thicker than water." I told them water is what premature babies drown in if their lungs aren't ready. Blood doesn't mean anything if it's toxic. I'm 34 years old, and I'm starting completely over with 2 little kids and a broken heart, but for the first time in my life. I'm free. Free from the constant comparison. Free from feeling like I'm not smart enough or successful enough or thin enough or connected enough. I save babies for a living. That's enough. That's everything. Caleb and Madeline can have their corner offices and private jets and genetically superior offspring. I have Harper's laugh when she reads her little brother bedtime stories and Leo's sticky hand in mine when we walk to the park. That's the only legacy I need. Sometimes people comment on the original post telling me I should have fought harder or tried counseling or forgiven them because family. To those people I say this. I spent 8 years trying to be enough for a man who was waiting for someone better to come along. I'm done trying. I'm enough for my kids. I'm enough for the 23-weeker who breathed because I held him. I'm enough for me. And that's the first time in my entire life I've ever believed that. So yeah, my mother told me to divorce my husband so he could marry my sister, 'cause they'd make better babies. I did. And I've never been more at peace. That's the whole story.